Please raise your hand. We will get started. Tyler.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
Great, thanks.
First, just kind of want to ask, what was the break like for you, and what were you able to do with your time off?
I just got away. I got out of DC for 2 weeks, went and saw family in various places, actually stayed in Chicago for a couple extra days after our game there. That was great. Got away 2 weeks, and, we started doing workouts individually and, some small group things last week. So we're ready to go.
And then everyone coming back, what's the mindset of some of the players? Is it where you want it to be? Do they have the right attacking mentality? What do you feel there?
I think the mindset's been good. I mean, we had a lot of people that needed their bodies to be refreshed. And so, that was the first thing. We spent last week giving them, individual work to try to work on our conditioning. They've done, stuff in the weight room, on the treadmill, and then, shooting on the court, those kinds of things. And then we started ramping up a little bit later in the week with, the conditioning part of it. And I mean, everybody's in a good frame of mind. They know that they've got a lot of work ahead of them. But, if the health keeps getting better, then we'll give ourselves a pretty good chance.
And then to the health, do you have any updates for us on any players so far?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is, Natasha's been practicing fully now. That's the first step. Maisha has not done any full practice at all. She's doing individual work. We're just trying to be careful and integrate her in maybe later this week. Erica McCall came back and has worked her way back into the group. Both she and Elena have done some live action now with the team for a couple days, with their teammates, either whether it's been in the small groups or in today's, they did a little bit of 3-on-3 and 5-on-5. I wouldn't say we're pushing them all out yet, but they've been on the court.
And then with Elena, how are you feeling on that? Is it right where you want it to be from where we discussed last as a group?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you kind of hold your breath and see where she is, but she's been able to do all the non-contact drills and then some of the contact stuff. So that's a good start, trying to go slowly with it. But, today she was able to do some live action, and that's a great first step for us. She did a little bit in the smaller group stuff last week, and we'll see. I mean, she feels optimistic about it. Trainers, doctors feel optimistic, but it's kind of, one day at a time right now, but it's been progress.
Gotcha. And then last one for me. I know the time difference isn't ideal, but has the team been able to do anything with maybe trying to watch or get together and see what Ariel and Tina are doing over in Tokyo?
We haven't done it as a group because of the timing of most of them. Our plan is to have a team breakfast on Sunday for the gold medal game. So we're wishing them into the gold medal game for Sunday. But that's the plan. I mean, it's been, the games have been at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. and those kinds of things. So a lot of us have recorded it and watched bits or pieces of it. I stayed up one night to watch the whole game and paid for it the next day, but it's all good.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Yep.
Any other questions for Coach? I think that's it then. Thank
Great.
you.
You bet. Thanks.
It's great. Anytime you could be away, or anytime you be away from the team that you build so much chemistry and relationship with, you kind of miss each other a little bit. So just being back into the groove of things, and all of us back here, it's been great.
And then if you don't mind me asking, did you do anything special over the break, the time away? Did you do something for yourself or? Just
Yeah,
take a
actually,
break?
I got a mental break. I went to Cabo, Mexico, for a couple days just to get away, get some nice sunshine, which was very hot. And then I actually spent time with my family because we don't get that. We don't get to do that very often, especially between the leagues of playing overseas and the WNBA. So I was actually able to spend time with my family. So that was pretty much the highlight for me.
Perfect. And then last one for me, have you been able to be in contact at all with Ariel and Tina? I know the time difference is
Man.
not helpful, but
Yeah, we talked to them here and there, but of course, like you said, the time difference is so off. I don't even know how many hours they're ahead of us. I know we try to catch, the games as much as possible. When they're playing, it's just that it's just a little bit too late. So we're able to just probably catch like the first half of the games. With Tina and A. Late, her games unfortunately come on extremely too late, so we can't catch Leilani, but we are keeping in communication, cheering them on over here.
awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wilson?
Hey Shavante, how you doing?
Hi, Wilson. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We're seeing with the USA team just the depth of talent they have in the post in the front court. We know you guys haven't been healthy. Everyone's been talking about what you guys could look like on the other side of the break. With the type of talent you guys might possibly have fully healthy in the front court, how much are you guys looking forward to being as close to full strength as possible?
Man, we're looking to be, full strength as much as possible. I think, this break, all in all, kind of helped us, especially with, the injuries that we had. So the girls that were injured, they're recovering really, really good. Some of them out here with practice with us, and it's just good to see all of us just out here. I know the first half was a real test and a struggle for us. Like you said, we dealt with a lot of injuries, but I think just coming back from this break, everybody being, completely healthy is great for us. So just to see them and just to be out here with, everybody except the ones that's over in Tokyo is a blessing.
Any other questions? I think that's it then. Thank you, Shante.
Thank you.
Hey, Sydney. Just with this break, what do you think are the, I guess, the most important aspects you want to see come out of this break going into the second half?
I think that we've done a lot of great work just in this first week back, gradually easing back into a practice flow and then stepping into a lot more up and down live action as we get into the second week. And I appreciate that we have a lot of time to go back to the basics and to discuss and get reps, both ends of the floor. A lot of times during the season, you're just prepping for games and you can't really go back to the foundation. And I know that we had a lot of bodies coming in. I came right before the season started. People were coming back from overseas. There was a lot that was going on that we couldn't really get on the same page all at one time. And then injuries take place, a lot of adversity. So this has been a great reset opportunity for all of us to come back in, talk about things, really work on things, and get back to the basics all across the board.
And one last thing from me, just how much energy and just, I don't know, intensity do you get from watching the Olympics, especially with Tina Charles in the last game in particular, playing the way that she did down the stretch, and Ariel Atkins as well?
Yeah, you have a lot of pride watching the Olympics for all the sports, representing your countries. It's such an awesome opportunity for the world to be united in sports, and to take pride in seeing your teammates, seeing Leilani, seeing Ariel, seeing Tina and what they're doing, Emma. There's so many people who are representing their countries with pride and at the highest level. And so it's been a lot of fun staying up late to watch the games, seeing how they're competing, how they're representing us, their families, our country. And it's a lot of times a once in a lifetime experience. And so I know that they're having an awesome time, and we've been having a really good time supporting them back here in the States.
Thank you so much. And yes, all the other ones too. I appreciate you adding them in.
Oh, yes. Well. Thank you. It's tough to keep track of everybody.
No doubt. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jen.
Hey, Sydney, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. kind of building off of Christy's question a little bit, you know, when you watch those games and you see Ariel and Tina and Leilani, you know, like, what has stood out to you? Have you seen them like do anything or you're like, oh, like that's new. Like, I don't see that with the Mystics, or like, what have you noticed while you watch your teammates in particular?
They're doing what they do. I think that's what makes them special. They make each team that they're on better, simply by being themselves and bringing what their skill set and who they are to the table. So it's been a lot of fun seeing Lay interact with all of her Aussie teammates. And I played in Australia my rookie year overseas, and I know a lot of those women. And so it's really cool to see all of them together and how they're representing their country. Then obviously the women of the US and how dominant they have been as they're finding their rhythm. Each team, I feel like US is a little bit different. I know a lot of these countries have spent months or at least weeks prepping for the Olympics. And I know for the US women's team, because of the WNBA, because of overseas basketball, it's tough to stay connected and have a good chunk of time to get on the same page and have a training camp feel. So it's been cool to see how their talent and their experiences have been coming together, and they're putting it together on the fly. And that's really hard to do against the best in the world. And so I know with Emma too, she just makes each team that she's on better. So it's been a lot of fun to see how their skill sets have made others around them better.
I was watching that game where she had 26 and 15, and I was like, oh, like she seems to be having like a decent night, but not anything crazy. And then I checked the box score.
Just a quiet double, 26 points, casual. What are you going to do?
And then you talked a little bit about, you know, what practice looked like today, but, you know, can you talk a little bit more about what you guys looked like? And was it, you know, are you still ramping up, or did it feel like a mid-season practice?
We covered a lot of ground last week. You obviously have to be mindful after having a couple weeks off. You don't know where each person is at conditioning wise and basketball wise. And so you want to be very protective, especially with the injuries that we've had before the break, just to make sure that we're not ramping it up too fast. And the coaches and the staff have done a really good job with that. So I think as we continue on this week, there's still a balance because we don't play for another 13 days or so. So you don't want to go too hard. It's very strategic in how they're trying to make sure that we're pushing, but we're also being mindful of the time that we have and our bodies and what we're feeling. And so I think what we've been focusing on is the pace and at which we want to play on both ends of the floor, dictating a lot more on the defensive end, being more aggressive on ball, taking care of that, and trusting our help side, but really expending a lot more energy and not really playing it safe, but knowing let's be more aggressive. Let's try and force the issue, cause some turnovers, and then push the ball. We want to try and play with a lot of pace. And it was tough to do that towards the end of the first half of the season just because of the lack of bodies. But I think as we're all coming back together healthier, and we have this time to continue to build up our conditioning, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what it looks like once we take the floor on the 15th.
And then last one for me, you know, on the topic of injuries, how are you feeling, and what is it like? I hear you've got Elena back a little bit, at least in practice. So what's that like?
Mm-hmm. I feel good. That break was really good for me just to stay off my feet a little bit, to shut down the body, to rest it. A lot of times in season, you don't really have the luxury to do that. You just gotta make do with what you have, and obviously use the resources for recovery. But the 2 weeks were good for me. I feel healthy, which is a blessing. It's been so much fun seeing Elena and how she's moving, you know, trying to be mindful of taking our time with her and being mindful to ask how she's feeling and to make sure that she's listening to her body. But it's been a while since we've seen her out on the court. So I'm really happy for her because I know she's been working really hard with rehab. But I think at the end of the day, it's just continuing to be honest and to be mindful of how are you feeling, and take your time with that. But really happy to see, and I know that she's happy to have progress to be able to be on the court again.
Put that woman in bubble wrap.
Gosh, whatever it takes, protect her at all costs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Natalie?
During this break, what were you able to do to kind of take time for yourself? Something that I'm sure doesn't happen that often during the season.
Mm-hmm. I was able to go home. I spent most of my time in Phoenix with family and friends. And so it was fulfilling in so many ways, just because it's rare to get that amount of time, even to be with people, to have dinner with people, to get lunch with people, to have conversations face to face, to be able to hug my parents, to be able to be with my grandparents. And so I love having that time, and I'm always grateful for that time. I was also able to go up to Oregon. I have a couple old teammates that live up there, and I also was able to take some time to work on my mind, to work on my heart, my spirit, mind, and body. And I think it was really important during that break to be with people, but also take some time on my own to reset, to check in with myself, to work through some things that, once more, you don't really have time to do that when you're in the heat in the middle of a season. So I think as a human, really taking a step back and breathing and being able to work out and work through a lot of different mental and emotional things that can also translate as a competitor. And so it was nice to have that time to continue to heal in every way, and then to be with people who I don't really have that much time with in person. So it was a really great break that I'm grateful for.
And then last thing for me, what's your favorite Olympic sport to watch aside from basketball?
Ooh, it's a great question. I've been watching a lot of swimming lately. Swimming and track. I think a lot of the swimming competitions, first of all, I have so much respect for swimmers. After I hurt my ankle both times, I did a lot of pool workouts. Swimming is so hard. It is so hard. And so to see how fast they move, and they do it like it's nothing, like they're not exhausted after a race, I'm like, you know what? You all get gold medals, because I don't know how you just survived that race at such a high speed, so powerful. So I enjoy watching those races, and like it literally comes down to like 0.01 seconds sometimes. And then same with track, like when you're watching the 100-meter sprint, it comes down to like the smallest minute details. And I just think of like the work and preparation that all of them have done just to get to that moment. And then for the gold medalists, silver medalists, bronze, the work that they must have done to set themselves apart by the 0.01 seconds, it's like remarkable to really think about. So those two events, I am like popcorn at the ready at all times.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had to swim a mile as initiation when I started lifeguarding, exactly once, and that was enough for me. So watching the 100, I'm like, I have no idea how you do it.
No, and they shoot, like, I'm also thinking like, this is the race. Imagine what their practice and their training was like. Like, that's what's crazy for me. So like, you deserve to be there, everybody.
I think that's it, Sydney. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go Mystics.
And that concludes